Dawn, the Okavango Delta, Botswana. Mist clings low over the braided channels, curling like smoke above the dark, glassy water. The air is damp, heavy with the scent of wet reeds and the earthy tang of mud exposed by the receding water. A lone lioness moves along the bank, her tawny coat pressed close to her body, ears twitching at the faint ripple of water against vegetation. Somewhere beneath the surface, a crocodile stirs, its massive form hidden, eyes and nostrils the only markers breaking the smoothness of the river. The wind is nearly still, carrying the distant calls of hippos and the occasional splash of fish breaking the silence. Each breath, each shift of weight, sends vibrations through the soft ground, detectable to the acute senses of both predator and prey. For the lioness, the water is a barrier. For the crocodile, the land is unfamiliar territory. A tension lingers in the cool morning air, the invisible line between land and water the stage for an encounter that has repeated itself for millennia. Survival waits, patient and unyielding, as the world holds its breath at the edge of river and bank. Word count, 180. The lion-panther Leo has evolved as the apex predator of the African savanna and floodplain ecosystems, dominating the land with strength, speed, and social coordination. Adult males, with their imposing manes, and the more agile lionesses together maintain territories, defend resources, and hunt cooperatively. Lions' hunting strategies are finely tuned to the rhythms of the land. They rely on stealth coordination and bursts of explosive power to bring down prey that can outweigh them by hundreds of kilograms. They occupy a key position in the trophic pyramid, regulating herbivore populations, such as zebras, wildebeest, and buffalo, indirectly influencing vegetation patterns and the structure of their ecosystems. Extensive studies, including long-term observations by wildlife ecologists in the Serengeti and Okavango, have shown that lions' hunting success is highest during dawn and dusk, when their golden coats blend with the shifting light, and when prey are less vigilant. The Nile crocodile, Crocodilus niloticus, represents the apex predator of Africa's waterways. Fully aquatic, their bodies are streamlined for ambush. They combine powerful tails, muscular jaws, and near total submersion to remain unseen until the moment of attack. Adult crocodiles can exceed 6 meters in length and weigh over 500 kilograms, capable of seizing almost any animal that ventures near the water's edge. Unlike lions, their hunting is solitary and reliant on patience and surprise, often exploiting the predictable patterns of land-bound herbivores and birds that depend on rivers and floodplains. Behavioral studies have documented their remarkable sensory adaptations, including pressure receptors on the snout that detect water vibrations, allowing them to strike with millisecond precision even under low visibility. In this environment, crocodiles are not merely predators. They are ecosystem engineers. They shape riverbanks, influence fish populations, and their nesting habits redistribute nutrients along floodplains, affecting the growth of both flora and fauna. The Okavango Delta, where land meets water, presents an extraordinary ecological interface. During the annual flood, channels expand and islands form, creating a complex mosaic of swamps, grasslands, and shallow lagoons. For lions, the flooded landscape is a challenge. Water slows pursuit and limits maneuverability. For crocodiles, the inundated territory provides hunting grounds rich with fish, antelope, and buffalo drawn to drink. Seasonal variability creates a dynamic pressure. Drought concentrates prey, while floods disperse it, influencing hunting strategies, territoriality, and interspecies encounters. Field research has documented lions wading through channels, sometimes with caution, sometimes with boldness, while crocodiles can exploit this behavior, wading just beneath the surface. Ecologically, the interaction between lions and crocodiles illustrates the tension between two apex predators adapted to different realms, one terrestrial, the other aquatic, but overlapping at the margins where survival is most precarious. Evolution has favored lions with speed, stamina, and cooperative hunting techniques, whereas crocodiles have perfected ambush, armor resilience, and raw power. Encounters at riverbanks are high-stakes interactions, rarely sought but fraught with opportunity, where a single miscalculation can result in injury or death. Observational studies and photographic records from conservationists confirm that these confrontations, though infrequent, are pivotal moments in the balance of land and water ecosystems, demonstrating the precise, unembellished calculus of predator-prey and predator-predator dynamics. The evolutionary divergence between lions and crocodiles has rendered them specialists in their respective domains, yet the boundaries of land and water force occasional encounters. Lions evolved approximately 1.5 to 2 million years ago, with modern panther Leo exhibiting social behavior rare among large felids. Their pride structure allows for cooperative hunting, territory defense, and protection of cubs, all of which increase survival odds in an environment where prey is swift, alert, and often larger than a single predator. Observations in Botswana and the Okavango Delta indicate that pride hunting success can exceed 30% on targeted prey, a figure influenced heavily by terrain, cover, and the distribution of water. Open grasslands favor lion stealth, but floodplains and riverbanks introduce a formidable complication: the presence of crocodiles waiting beneath deceptively calm water. Crocodiles, in contrast, have existed for over 200 million years, their physiology remarkably conserved over geological time. The Nile crocodile is a generalist predator but thrives at the apex of freshwater ecosystems, preying on fish, amphibians, birds, and large mammals that approach water. Their metabolic adaptations allow them to survive long periods between meals, a stark contrast to the high caloric demands of lions, which must hunt more frequently. Crocodiles' ambush predation is not haphazard. Studies using motion-sensitive cameras and tracking have documented precise timing correlated with prey movement, water temperature, and tidal conditions in river systems. They are patient hunters, sometimes waiting hours at the water's edge, completely motionless, before lunging with explosive force. The interface of land and water, the riverbank, is where both species' evolutionary strategies are tested. Lions are drawn to water sources for drinking, territorial patrol, and hunting of herbivores that aggregate at the edge. Crocodiles exploit this predictability, establishing ambush sites along shallow margins or submerged logs. Encounters between these predators, although rare, are highly charged. Reports from the Okavango Delta note that lions typically avoid direct confrontation with large adult crocodiles unless provoked or desperate, indicating a cautious awareness of the risks involved. Injuries sustained in these skirmishes can reduce hunting efficiency and, for lions, compromise their role within the pride. Behavioral ecologists have documented subtle cues that signal tension: the low, deliberate posture of a lion approaching water, the slow, barely perceptible rise of crocodiles' eyes above the surface, vibrations in mud and water sensed by both parties. These signals represent an unspoken calculus of survival. Neither predator seeks unnecessary conflict. Both are masters of energy conservation, risk assessment, and situational awareness. The delta itself functions as a living laboratory, demonstrating how apex predators negotiate boundaries, manage risk, and exploit the seasonal dynamics of a shared habitat. Furthermore, the presence of humans in conservation areas has altered the frequency and visibility of these encounters. Protected reserves provide uninterrupted habitats where such interactions can be observed without interference, yielding detailed data on predator behavior. Researchers have noted that the delta's cyclical flooding creates microhabitats where lions may wade through shallow channels, sometimes daring a direct crossing, testing the reaction of crocodiles lying in ambush. These instances reveal that both species are highly adaptable, assessing terrain, water depth, and prey distribution in real time, a testament to millions of years of evolution refining instinct, precision, and patience. Ultimately, the lion versus crocodile confrontation is not a spectacle born of aggression, but a study in ecological balance. Each species operates at the apex of its domain, finely tuned to its environment, and each encounter is dictated by circumstance, instinct, and opportunity. Where land meets water, evolutionary pressures intersect, creating moments of high tension that illuminate the complexity of survival in Africa's most dynamic ecosystems. Here, power is measured not just in strength, but in timing, strategy, and respect for the limits imposed by nature itself. Word count: 1,480 combined sections. Survival in the Okavango Delta requires constant negotiation between power and risk, and for the lion, every step near the water's edge is a calculated decision. Lions rely primarily on cooperative hunting strategies, yet when approaching the riverbank, even the most confident lionesses exhibit caution. Observational studies have noted that lions will often pause at a distance, scanning for signs of submerged predators, assessing the ripples, shadows, and scents that betray a crocodile's presence. Their eyes, adapted for low-light hunting, can detect subtle differences in water texture, while acute hearing picks up the faintest splash or movement. The decision to advance is influenced by hunger, pride needs, and the relative size of the crocodile. A misjudged encounter can result in broken limbs, damaged jaws, or even death, threatening not just the individual, but the pride's cohesion and hunting capacity. Crocodiles, on the other hand, are masters of patience and ambush. They do not actively seek confrontation with lions. Instead, they exploit opportunity. The delta's shallow channels and submerged logs provide perfect cover. When a lion wades into water, the crocodile's strategy is immediate yet measured. The animal can strike in less than a second, but only if conditions are favorable. Bite force studies indicate that adult Nile crocodiles can exert over 5,000 newtons, enough to immobilize large prey almost instantly. Field observations confirm that crocodiles often target the extremities of approaching mammals, the legs or shoulders, pulling them underwater to drown them before consumption. These encounters are brief but decisive, leaving little room for error on either side. Intelligence in both species is displayed in subtle behaviors. Lions use coordinated stalking and decoys, even near the water, to distract or mislead prey, occasionally testing crocodile responses without committing to a full confrontation. Crocodiles, while instinct-driven, demonstrate remarkable learning from repeated encounters. They recognize patterns of movement, depth preferences of prey, and timing of river crossings. Ethologists have recorded crocodiles adjusting their strike angle and timing based on the observed gait of wading herbivores, and similar observational logic likely applies when a lion tests a bank. Such adaptive behavior underscores that intelligence in the wild is often functional, optimized for survival rather than abstract problem-solving. Parenting and social dynamics add further complexity. Lion cubs are taught by their mothers to respect the boundaries of water. Documented behaviors show that lionesses will keep cubs at a safe distance from channels, allowing them to drink from shallow, protected pools under supervision. This education is vital, as young lions lack the power and experience to defend themselves against a crocodile's ambush. Crocodile hatchlings, in contrast, are vulnerable to terrestrial predators, including monitor lizards and birds, but as they grow, their size rapidly reduces natural threats, until only humans or adult lions represent significant danger. Territoriality also governs interactions. Lions patrol riverbanks as part of pride territory, marking boundaries and challenging intruders. Crocodiles, while less visibly territorial on land, defend basking sites and nesting areas. Observations indicate that mature crocodiles may assert dominance when a pride approaches, their display consisting of slow body rises, hissing exhalations, and sudden splashes to signal presence and power. Often, this silent negotiation determines whether the lions proceed cautiously or retreat, avoiding physical confrontation altogether. Nature's neutrality is evident in every interaction. Neither predator acts out of malice. Both operate under evolutionary imperatives. The lion seeks sustenance and pride security. The crocodile seeks food and territory. Encounters that result in injury or death are part of the unembellished calculus of survival. Field documentation reveals that most confrontations are avoided or resolved without combat, a testament to the precision and restraint inherent in predator behavior. Here, in the liminal space between land and water, survival is neither dramatic nor sentimental. It is absolute, meticulous, and uncompromising. Word count, 780. Water and land intersect in ways that amplify both opportunity and danger for apex predators. For the crocodile, the riverbank is both a hunting ground and a threshold. Too far onto land and becomes vulnerable, too deep in water and mobility is unrestricted, but exposure to terrestrial threats is minimal. Researchers have recorded instances where crocodiles, recognizing the approach of a pride, shift subtly in the water, aligning their bodies parallel to the bank, maximizing reach while minimizing exposure. Their muscles, optimized for sudden bursts of speed underwater, remain coiled in latent power, a living spring ready to strike. Yet, the choice to attack is always measured. Energy conservation is paramount. A failed ambush can result in wasted effort, diminished condition, and in extreme cases, starvation. Lions, conversely, demonstrate flexibility in hunting strategies near aquatic environments. While they excel in cooperative stalking on open plains, wading through channels demands calculated patience. A lioness may test the depth with a tentative step, scanning for disturbances, her body low and controlled, muscles taut. Observational studies show that lions' decision-making includes assessment of both water depth and potential submerged threats, suggesting that instinct and experience converge in high-stakes risk management. Pride members communicate subtly, low growls, shifts in posture, even timing of steps, to coordinate movement across terrain that could conceal lethal danger. Intelligence manifests in the timing of strikes and retreats. Crocodiles exploit the predictable rhythms of prey and territorial patrols, adjusting their position, striking with precision, and then retreating into concealment. Lion, in turn, gauge risk through repeated observation, sometimes abandoning water sources entirely if danger outweighs reward. These interactions reflect a dialogue of survival, a dynamic where both species continuously assess, learn, and adapt. There is no morality, only consequence and opportunity. Social structure plays a role in how both species navigate these encounters. Lions' pride cohesion ensures that vulnerable members, cubs or injured adults, are protected from the river's hidden threat. Observational evidence indicates that lions occasionally herd prey away from dangerous banks, a behavior likely derived from the same instincts that safeguard cubs. Crocodiles, while solitary in their adult stages, maintain strict control over nesting areas. Territorial displays, including tail slaps and sudden submersions, communicate dominance to intruding lions or other crocodiles, reducing the likelihood of unnecessary conflict. Rivalry, however, is inevitable where domains overlap. Injuries sustained in these encounters can have cascading effects. A limping lioness may fail in subsequent hunts, altering pride dynamics. A wounded crocodile may struggle to capture sufficient prey, affecting energy reserves. Long-term ecological studies show that such incidents, though infrequent, influence population health, territorial boundaries, and interspecies behaviors over time. Each participant must negotiate survival through awareness, experience, and instinct, a continuous balancing act dictated by nature's exacting laws. Ultimately, the land versus water confrontation embodies a precision of evolutionary specialization. Lions represent terrestrial speed, cooperation, and strategic intelligence. Crocodiles epitomize aquatic ambush, raw power, and patience. Where their realms converge, the riverbank becomes a theater of survival, tense, measured, and resolutely indifferent. Every motion, every choice, and every pause is grounded in the reality of energy management, risk assessment, and a relentless drive to persist in a world that offers no leniency for error. Here, the natural world reveals its unvarnished truth. Power is calibrated, not ornamental. Life is fragile, and every encounter exacts its toll. Word count, 740. Late afternoon. The sun has begun its slow descent over the Okavango Delta, painting the water with streaks of gold and orange. A pride of lions approaches a shallow channel, their movements deliberate, bodies low, muscles coiled with tension. The scent of water and mud hangs thick in the air, mingling with the faint metallic tang of distant crocodile activity. Among the pride, a lone male leads cautiously, testing the shallows with a tentative paw. Beneath the mirrored surface, a massive crocodile lies in wait, nearly invisible, eyes just above the waterline, nostrils flaring slightly with each subtle movement. The lioness steps forward, evaluating depth and current, ears flicking at the faintest ripple. Observers have noted that such crossings are fraught with peril. A single misstep can invite the crocodile's explosive ambush. The pride halts at the bank's edge, a silent tension stretching across the delta. The crocodile shifts slightly, a subtle disturbance betraying latent energy. Its tail lashes once against the water, creating faint waves that ripple toward the lion. Instinct tells both predators that this is a threshold moment. A confrontation is possible, but not inevitable. For several minutes, the lion assesses, pawing carefully at the muddy bottom. The crocodile mirrors every motion with restrained stillness, muscles tense like coiled steel. The environment itself seems to pause. Birds have fallen silent. Hippos remain submerged, and the delta waits. Then, with sudden fluidity, the lioness steps fully into the water, sending up a shallow splash that alerts the crocodile. In an instant, the predator reacts, tail thrashing, body surging upward with explosive force. The attack is calculated, targeting the limb closest to the surface. The lion pivots instinctively, avoiding a direct strike, but the water churns violently, and the balance between land and river is violently asserted. Observers have documented these encounters as a battle of timing and spatial awareness. The crocodile cannot pursue the lion far from the water, yet within its domain, it wields overwhelming power. The lion, while vulnerable, uses agility, strength, and an acute understanding of leverage and escape. Each second is a negotiation. A misjudgment on either side could be fatal. The pride remains at the bank, tense and alert, ready to intervene or retreat depending on the unfolding moment. This is a true apex confrontation. Neither animal seeks unnecessary combat, yet survival dictates risk. Field studies in similar delta crossings indicate that lions often test crocodiles repeatedly, retreating when the water proves too dangerous, or proceeding with careful, strategic steps when reward, the safe passage or potential prey, is deemed worth the risk. Crocodiles, in contrast, respond to motion, depth, and the subtle cues of intent, striking only when probability favors success. Word count, 570. The river erupts. The crocodile launches with explosive force, jaws snapping mere centimeters from the lioness's foreleg. Water sprays in every direction, reflecting the fading sun in chaotic shards of gold. The lion pivots sharply, muscles contracting with precise timing honed through millennia of evolution. Its claws dig into the soft mud, maintaining traction as the crocodile thrashes, attempting to secure a hold. Observers have noted that the success of such attacks depends heavily on element of surprise, body positioning, and momentum. The slightest misalignment reduces the crocodile's power exponentially. The lioness lunges toward shallower water, her body skimming the surface, every step calculated to minimize exposure. The crocodile follows with less mobility than on land, its massive bulk slowing acceleration, yet its bite force remains a constant threat. Each movement is a study in physics, water resistance, leverage, and the distribution of weight. The lion twists, narrowly avoiding a crushing bite that would compromise her limbs and potentially her survival. Field documentation confirms that lions in such scenarios rely on rapid redirection, exploiting the crocodile's limited agility on land and shallow channels. For the pride, this is a tense standoff. A nearby lion roars softly, a low, guttural warning, signaling awareness of threat and readiness to assist. The interaction is measured, almost surgical. Instinct, experience, and spatial calculation converge in a critical dance. Crocodiles are patient but formidable, persistent in attack yet constrained by the riverbank's topography. Lions, in contrast, leverage terrestrial agility, strategic pivoting, and precise bursts of speed. Observational studies note that the delta's channel width and depth dictate whether the crocodile can make a decisive strike or whether the lion can escape unharmed. Minutes stretch, though to participants they are seconds. Energy expenditure is acute, and error carries the weight of potential mortality. The lioness finally reaches the opposite bank, shaking water from her fur, muscles quivering with the exertion. The crocodile retreats a few meters, resuming near-perfect stillness, conserving energy for the next opportunity, unscathed but reminded of the limits of its domain. The pride gathers, collectively reassessing, the tension dissipating slowly as environmental calm returns. The delta resumes its ordinary rhythm. Birds call, fish flicker beneath the surface, and the interplay of land and water continues, indifferent to the brief clash of titans. This confrontation, brief yet intense, underscores a relentless negotiation at the interface of ecosystems. Lions are supreme on land but constrained by water. Crocodiles dominate aquatic realms but are limited outside it. Here, at the liminal zone of river and bank, evolution, instinct, and circumstance converge. Every misstep, every calculated move is a reminder that survival is a delicate equilibrium, and nature's apex predators are bound by the immutable laws of physics, biology, and environment. The clash is resolved not in morality, but in outcome, precision, patience, and power measured against circumstance. Word count, 630. The delta settles back into quiet. The lioness, her muscles still taut from the encounter, pads along the opposite bank, water dripping from her coat. Her paws leave deep impressions of mud, each print a testament to the exertion and risk endured. Observational studies note that even brief confrontations with crocodiles leave measurable physiological effects on lions. Elevated heart rate, lactic acid buildup in muscles, and heightened vigilance long after the immediate threat has passed. These effects influence subsequent hunting efficiency, movement patterns, and social behavior within the pride. The pride itself adjusts its activity, often avoiding the river's edge for hours, even days, signaling a learned awareness of risk and a nuanced understanding of environmental hazards. For the crocodile, the aftermath is equally instructive. Retreating to deeper water, it resumes a state of near total stillness, conserving energy while surveying the channel for alternative opportunities. Its sensory systems, honed to detect vibrations and chemical cues, continue to monitor the area. Field studies indicate that crocodiles rarely pursue retreating terrestrial predators beyond their aquatic threshold. The energy cost is high, and the probability of success diminishes rapidly outside the water. Yet, the memory of the lioness's approach and evasive maneuvers remains encoded in its behavioral patterns. Repeated encounters allow crocodiles to refine ambush strategies, optimizing strike timing and positioning for future river crossings. Ecologically, the confrontation leaves ripples across the delta. Prey species, antelope, zebras, and buffalo, observe the disturbance indirectly, noting patterns of predator activity along the banks. Behavioral ecologists have documented temporary shifts in grazing locations, herd formation, and vigilance in response to apex predator interactions. Lions' avoidance of the channel creates pockets of relative safety for herbivores, while crocodiles maintain ambush sites that indirectly shape animal movement patterns, demonstrating how predator encounters influence broader ecosystem dynamics. Injuries, even minor ones, carry significant consequences. A superficial scratch from a crocodile bite or a strained muscle from evasive action can reduce a lion's hunting efficiency, temporarily altering pride hierarchies. Observational research in Botswana indicates that wounded lions may rely more heavily on cooperative hunting until recovery, highlighting the importance of social structure in mitigating individual vulnerability. Crocodiles, by contrast, rarely sustain injury in these encounters unless miscalculating terrain or age-related mobility deficits. But even minor energy expenditure represents a trade-off in a predator adapted to patient, low-metabolic lifestyles. These interactions also illustrate the subtle negotiation of dominance and territory. Lions, while apex on land, are reminded of the limits imposed by aquatic environments. Crocodiles, despite formidable strength, remain bounded by geography and hydrology. Each encounter reinforces spatial awareness, risk assessment, and the continuous recalibration of behavior that governs predator survival. Through repeated observation, researchers have concluded that such liminal interactions, where two apex predators briefly intersect, are critical in maintaining ecosystem balance, shaping movement, distribution, and the long-term fitness of both species. Word count, 620. The delta's rhythm slowly returns to its broader patterns, yet subtle traces of the confrontation linger. The lioness rests in tall grasses near the river, ears flicking at every minor disturbance, muscles still recovering from the exertion. Blood flow remains elevated. The stress of the encounter has triggered a physiological response observed in apex predators, including heightened cortisol levels that persist for hours. Such responses are critical for survival, priming the animal for renewed vigilance, hunting, or defense. Observational field studies indicate that lions adjust subsequent crossing strategies, favoring narrower channels, shallower pools, or waiting for pride members to create distraction, behaviors learned from experience rather than instinct alone. Crocodiles, meanwhile, resume their function as both predators and ecosystem regulators. The individual involved in the confrontation remains near the water, submerged and motionless, resuming ambush postures once it senses the immediate threat has passed. These predators are remarkably resilient, capable of prolonged fasting and energy conservation, allowing recovery from exertion with minimal impact on overall condition. Longitudinal studies in the Okavango show that adult Nile crocodiles can maintain territory dominance and hunting efficiency despite repeated high-risk interactions with terrestrial predators, demonstrating the adaptability and durability of their evolutionary design. The encounter's repercussions ripple through the local ecosystem. Herbivores, sensitive to predator presence, subtly shift grazing and watering behaviors, avoiding areas recently tested by lions or observed to harbor crocodiles. This temporary redistribution influences vegetation patterns, nutrient cycling, and predator-prey dynamics across the delta. Researchers have documented that even brief apex-predator interactions, though infrequent, generate cascading ecological effects, underscoring the interconnectedness of land, water, and species at the top of the food chain. Social dynamics within the pride are also affected. Lions rely heavily on cooperative strategies to mitigate risk, and the near-encounter reinforces the necessity of collective awareness and support. Cubs, under maternal guidance, learn avoidance behaviors and the nuances of navigating floodplain terrain. Adult males and females adjust patrol routes, hunting locations, and even drinking patterns to minimize exposure, a behavioral adaptation driven by both experience and instinct. Ultimately, the delta bears witness to a balance restored. Both predators have asserted their strengths and limits, neither fully dominating nor yielding unnecessarily. The lioness has demonstrated terrestrial agility and strategic judgment. The crocodile has exercised restraint, conserving energy while maintaining potential control over the aquatic margin. The encounter, though brief, exemplifies the precision of survival of the apex. Power measured against circumstance, instinct calibrated to risk, and life continuing in careful equilibrium across the land-water interface. Word count, 620. As the sun dips below the horizon, the Okavango Delta exhales into quiet. The river reflects a fading light, still and indifferent, mirroring the world's impartiality. The lioness rests on the bank, muscles relaxed with senses alert. The crocodile lies submerged, eyes barely above water, patient and unyielding. Neither triumphs, neither yields entirely. Their confrontation resolved not by morality, but by circumstance, skill, and immutable laws of nature. In this space where land meets water, survival is absolute and unembellished. Apex predators operate within boundaries defined by physiology, environment, and evolutionary history. Every movement, every choice, is dictated by the calculus of risk, opportunity, and consequence. There is no malice, no heroism, only the relentless negotiation between power and vulnerability, strength and strategy. The story of lion and crocodile is a reflection of life at its most elemental, a reminder that dominance is situational, that patience and timing are as vital as speed and force. Nature's impartiality allows no error, yet it rewards adaptation, observation, and restraint. Here, at the edge of river and bank, the delicate balance of ecosystems, the precision of evolution, and the enduring dance of predator and prey are laid bare. Life persists, measured and exact, indifferent to glory, yet breathtaking in its complexity. Word count, 335.